Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you watched my last videos, then you know I broke my other camera, so I just got a new one. I just got the Sony ZV-E10. If you guys want me to make a separate video about that, let me know in the comments. But so far, I'm loving the camera. Anyways, in today's video, I'm making a book recap from January 2024 to March 2024. During those months, I read 12 books. I'm gonna show you guys the books I read in order and the rating on these books. However, I'm not gonna give any spoilers on the books. If you guys want to see the full reviews on the books that include spoilers, head to my Goodreads. I'm gonna put my username up here so you guys can see. But anyways, let's get into the video. The first book I read this year was The Hunger Games. This is definitely an action-packed book. I do truly love the concept of The Hunger Games. If you never watched or read The Hunger Games, basically it's about a bunch of children's names in each district. There's 12 districts total. They're put into a big reaping and they pick out 2 names from each district, 1 boy, 1 girl, and essentially they're put into an arena to fight until there's 1 left. So in total there's 24 children fighting and only 1 can win. I love Katniss and Peeta in here. The entire series is so good. So in this whole book it describes everything that happens on this certain Hunger Games. I rated this 5 out of 5 stars and the spice level is like nothing. It's probably 0. The next book I read was Catching Fire, book 2 in the Hunger Games series. So this is the same concept as the first Hunger Games book. However, this is a quarter Cal book, and every quarter Cal they do something different, they switch it up. So in this book, they put all the past victors of the last Hunger Games into the arena and only 1 can win again. So essentially you got to see all the other people who fight in this book. And yes, there are old people who fight in this one. It's kind of sad. It's really, really fun to see the characters in this book and see how they grow throughout the other books as well. I also rated this 5 out of 5 stars, and again, the spice level is 0. Book number 3 is The Mockingjay, the third Hunger Games book. This book, as well as the Mockingjay movie, were a little slow for me. I feel like this book also did leave me confused on some parts. I had some questions that I feel like were left unanswered. Maybe I missed them, or maybe they didn't explain them very well. There were a few important deaths in this book, and I feel like they didn't really explain them well. It was kind of just like, okay, they died, and that was it. In this book, there's no actual fighting in an arena. However, it is still very action-packed because people are revolting against the Capitol. I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars. It's not a bad book. It's just not as good as the other one. This is the 4th book I read so far. It's The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and basically this is a prequel to the other Hunger Games books. The movie to this book came out a few months ago, and this is really what got me obsessed with the Hunger Games and why I wanted to read the entire series. I love young President Snow. I know everyone hates him. I love him. Snow lands on top. Anyways, I love Snow and I love Lucy Gray in this book. Anyways, this book shows one of the first ever Hunger Games that's happened. I forgot the exact number of the Hunger Games that this is, but basically this is in the eyes of younger Snow when he was in high school, and you get to see how he becomes who he is as a president. You don't get to see the full storyline of that, but that really leaves room for another Ballad of Songbirds and Snake book. When I picked this book up, I could not put it down. I thought it was so interesting throughout the entire book. Basically, the Capitol students are mentoring the kids who are in the Hunger Games, and whoever's tribute wins, they win a prize called the Plinth Prize, which basically gets the money to go to college. That's why President Snow wants the prize, because he needs the money to go to university. I really love this book. I love all the characters in this book, and there's some big twists at the end, so I would definitely get it. I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. There's like 0 spice level again in this book. Definitely worth a read though. Probably my favorite book in the Hunger Games series. The 5th book I read was One Italian Summer. I read this book in less than 24 hours. It's a very fast, a very easy read. There is a twist at the end that kind of threw me off. I was really not expecting it. Some parts of this book were pretty unrealistic. You just have to read it to know. I can't really explain it because that would totally ruin the book for you. It was a super fun book to read. I'd recommend reading this if you're on the beach or going on vacation. It's just that kind of book. But essentially the storyline of this book is that the girl is having marriage problems with her husband and her mom just died, so she goes on a trip to Italy because she was supposed to go on that trip to Italy with her mom but decided to go alone. And this basically is a bunch of details of that Italian summer that she had all alone. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. I would say the spice level is about 2 or 3 out of 5. Nothing crazy. Next book I read was If Only I'd Told Her. This book destroyed me. If you know, you know. You really should read the first one before you read this one. This book just came out super recently, so I had to read it because the first one was amazing. So the first book is about a girl's point of view throughout the entire book, and this book is about the guy's view the entire book. I honestly thought this book was better than the first one, but they both destroyed me in the same way. It was so great to hear about these characters again. I feel like it was so healing to my mind to just know what happens next and his point of view of this, because you didn't see that really much in the other book. I wish I could read about these 2 characters forever, but unfortunately you can't. So I'm really sad, but I love this book so much. This is a romance book, and I'd say the spice level is like 1 or 2. It's really not much at all. It's essentially about these 2 best friends that have a very complicated relationship as friends, whether they think they're friends or if they think they're lovers. It's really complicated, and they both have their own perspectives on it, so definitely worth a read. This book has been my favorite book I've read this year so far. This is the first Frieda McFadden book I've read so far. All my friends kept recommending her, and I'm so glad that I finally read this book. I would describe this as a mystery or psychological thriller book. I read this in one sitting. It was probably like 4 hours. I finished this entire book in. I don't think I've ever read a book that fast before. It's basically about a girl who really needs money, so she works as a maid for these really rich people, and there's just some crazy twists that happens throughout the book. I think there was like 2 crazy twists that got me. I do really feel bad for the main character in this book, but I also love her. I rated this 5 out of 5 stars, of course, and the spice level's about 2 or 3. Not high again, nothing crazy. The next book I read was The Summer of Broken Rules. Again, this is really good to read in the summer or if you're on vacation, just because it gives that summery vibe. Essentially, it's about a girl who loses her sister and she's also going through a breakup at the time, but she has a family vacation to Martha's Vineyard, and I believe her aunt's getting married, so she's there for a wedding. Their family has a tradition to play the game Assassin every year. Essentially, the game of Assassin is that you all have a name, you're supposed to like assassinate them with a water gun, and then they're out, and then you have another person to assassinate, and you continue that until there's only one person left, the winner. I also love that aspect of the book because my high school from up north used to play that, so that really brought back a lot of memories. I don't think many people know much about that game. But anyways, there is a small little romance in this book, and I love to see how it developed. This is a very cute, beachy type of read. It's super fun. It also has a few Taylor Swift references in it. I did rate it 4 out of 5 stars just because there wasn't like a crazy twist that happened that would make it 5 out of 5 stars, but it was really good. A lot of people did rate this book 5 out of 5 stars. It took me only a few days to read. I love this book. I could not put it down. I definitely recommend it. I don't remember the spice level being that high. Again, probably like a 2 or 3. The next book I read was Twisted Love. This series is super popular right now. I've only read the first one so far, so I'm excited to read the other ones. This book was good. However, the main male character in this book is very unhinged, and I don't know how I feel about it. The main female character is a super sweet girl, but I feel like the guy in this is like super cringe, super emotionless. It's really weird. He finds joy in getting revenge on people and like finds death funny. I don't know. I just thought the male in this was a super big red flag, and I don't know why the girl was interested in him in any kind of way. It wasn't a bad book by any means. I rated it at 3 out of 5 stars. I will say the spice level is probably 5 out of 5. It was pretty intense. The book is really good, and I will be reading the other ones just to see if it gets a little less cringy. It's just definitely not a 5 out of 5 star read. The next book I read was Assassin's Blade. All my friends were highly requesting that I read this book, so I finally did. This is a part of the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, and she wrote the ACOTAR series, which is really popular on TikTok right now. I love that series, so I figured I'd also like this series. This book honestly was a little slow for me at first, but once I got like halfway, it was really interesting. It is a fantasy book, so it's not for everyone, but if you liked ACOTAR, you'd probably like this sort of thing. This is a very action-packed book, and it happens to be in like 5 parts, I believe. This book contains broken down story or timelines of the main character. Her name is Selena Sardothian, and essentially she's an assassin, so this just shows different like assassination storylines. This book, I believe, is a prequel to the other books. People recommended to read this first just to have a little bit of backstory to what happens in the other Throne of Glass book. This is book 1 out of 8, so it is a long series, so definitely prepare yourself when reading this series. I'm excited to read the other ones though. The ending of this book was really sad, and I wish it wasn't written in, but again, it was such a good book. I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. The spice level is like 1. Like, there's really not much in here. The 11th book that I read this series was the second Housemaid book. Again, this is just as good as the first one. It was really good. There's also a third one coming out in July 2024, and I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait to read it. It's the same sort of concept from the first book. However, it's just like different. You'd have to read it to know. Again, the twists in this were crazy. I did not expect them at all. I rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think there was really any spice in this at all. If you haven't read the series or haven't read anything from Frieda McFadden, definitely go do so. The last book that I just finished in March was People We Met on Vacation. This was a really good book, however, it was kind of slow and very predictable. It is a really fun book to read whether on your vacation or this summer. Again, it's just one of those kind of books. This is the classic book of 2 best friends falling in love with each other, but kind of being into each other at different times. You just have to read the book to see their ending and how they turn out. It was a really good, interesting book, and it's one of those books that goes back in time and goes to present and goes back in time. I really love books that do that. The epilogue in this book did not really give a whole lot of information, however, it does leave a lot of room for another book. I rate this 3 out of 5 stars, and I would say the spice level is about a 3. But anyways, that is all the books that I read January to March. I would love if you guys commented any kind of book recommendations that you have for me. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on this style of video before, because I've never done anything like this. Please don't be afraid to comment any critique. I am down to adjust anything. If you guys want more information on the books, let me know. I would just love to hear everyone's thoughts on this video and what I could change and do different to improve. But anyways, that is all I have for this video. Make sure to follow my socials to keep in touch with me. I post a lot of content on my Instagram and TikTok. But that is all I have for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.